myself again. My name is Hussein Askary. I'm the Middle East or Southwest Asia coordinator for the Schiller Institute. I have worked with Mrs. LaRouche for the past 21 years as a Middle East economic and strategic analyst. This is the report which Mrs. Helga LaRouche mentioned. I urge every one of you to get a copy of it because this is the true standard for economics and the project for the coming century. For all mankind, I authored the chapter 6, which is called Southwest Asia. I also translated the report itself into Arabic, and as Helga said, we have it in Chinese too. One thing to emphasize again, what Helga said, is that all these connections, these are not simply trade routes to transport spices or clothing or cars. These are, we call, development corridors. These should be like 100 to 150 kilometer wide development corridors where you have a combination of high-speed transport, water transfer systems, power transfer systems, oil and gas, all kinds of necessary tools that are needed to develop new societies, new economies, especially in landlocked areas. Now I have encircled this area, and I have extended also the chapter on that. In this region, you have, this is the crossroads of the world, of the continents. All the continents cross each other here. This is not a poor region. It's a geopolitical mess, but this is not a poor region. You have 450 million people living in this region, which identify here. Most of those 450 million people are under the age of 30. Many of them have actually relatively good education. There are also natural resources. As you know, 2/3 of the world's hydrocarbon resources in this region. You have massive financial resources. You have about $3 trillion in so-called sovereign wealth funds, but these are invested in speculation, financial speculation, real estate. They are not invested in development. You have also very ancient cultures, and the people of these regions, all these countries, they consider themselves as, many say, the cradle of civilization. So they have very good characteristics and qualities for scientific, cultural, and economic development. Because of the increasing destabilization of the whole region with the regime change, we had the invasion of Iraq and so on, we have, as Mr. LaRouche many years ago, he said that there will be no peace in this region without economic development. Signing on a piece of paper, calling it a peace agreement, does not solve the problem. As Helga said, you can get rid of the terrorists, but you will not get rid of terrorism unless you make the cultural, social, and economic changes in this region. Mr. Trump's choice of the national security advisor, Mr. Michael Flynn, which Helga mentioned, he, after resigning from the Defense Intelligence Agency in the United States, he said our policy has been completely wrong. We need a Marshall Plan for the Middle East. That's what will solve the problem. And we agree with him. We had already designed the Marshall Plan. We do have the Marshall Plan for the Middle East. This is a part of what we call the Project Phoenix, which our friends Ulf Sandmark is translating there. Visited Syria with the Syrian Committee for Democracy, visited Damascus and presented what we call the Project Phoenix for the reconstruction of Syria to the Syrian government. It's under consideration, but it includes the idea of establishing a national reconstruction bank and connecting Syria to the development corridors which Helga has mentioned, and utilizing all the resources in Syria and in the region to develop the economy. Next. We have, actually, for many years we have discussed that without solving the water shortage problem and the desertification problem, it would be very, very difficult to develop these regions. This is a very old idea which I found somewhere many years ago, and we developed it. It's called the Iraqi Green Belt. It's to protect Iraq, the Iraqi cities, from the expansion of the desert and sand and dust storms, which are a big problem in Iraq. Actually, we have a proposal for a feasibility study, which we have sent to different governments, including the Iraqi government. And I got the good news 2 days ago that the Iraqi Irrigation and Agriculture Ministry are seriously considering to make a real feasibility study of this project, which implies planting 120 million trees, finding the water resources, and the proposal is based on our idea. So we are very proud of that. So it's this kind of development perspective which we are fighting for. It's not simply making trade easier between nations, but to bring the tools for development into different regions. You don't need to send money to Iraq or even to Africa. These nations do have research. What these countries need is technology. And this is what China is providing. China is providing the technology and not asking if you have money or not. Because when your neighbor develops, becomes richer, you will benefit yourself. You create markets, you create new technological innovations. This is this is what Helge described, the Transaqua project. So, just in short, that what we have to really understand is that there are real humanist, scientific concepts which are crucial if we want to, each and every nation we live in should move into the new paradigm which Helge has described. Actually, these principles are understandable and everybody can study them and get a deeper understanding of them. This is the standard, as the Chinese professors who studied this report said, and I will invite you, all of you, actually to get hold of this material and try to understand it and bring it back to your people, whether you are in Europe or in Africa or in Asia. So thank you very much.